I was totally working on contracts, and in fact, right now that would probably be considered like production services work, but at the time it was done in the law firm by a group of lawyers, and we sat and met with business affairs on a regular basis, talked about deals, got deal memos, and drafted long-form contracts. Spent a lot of time talking about the guild agreements, and I really learned so much about the law, about the union deals. Norman and Bud and that whole tandem TAT, they really created the business of syndication in a major way. So, and they called their syndication company, I think it was called Pitts, Pie in the Sky. And they syndicated all of those shows and did very well for themselves.
Were you involved with the syndication deals?
Absolutely.
What's to Viacom, right, from CBS?
Yeah, but remember, this is all, they were a standalone company, and you don't see that anymore. You know, you don't see individual companies that aren't corporate pods, or somehow it's a very unusual situation to find a standalone company that both produces and distributes its own product.
Were there novel legal issues you were dealing with at the time?
Oh, absolutely, because there were so many things. For example, now we take for granted that someone might be in a show and then have a show of their own created, a la Cheers to Frasier. But Norman and Bud really created that. When you look at something like All in the Family to the Jeffersons. Remember, George Jefferson was Archie Bunker's neighbor. All in the Family to Maude. You know, Maude was Archie Bunker's cousin. And on and on and on. I mean, I could...
Sanford.
I go on. And also this notion of taking formats. Sanford and Son was based upon an English television show called Steptoe and Son, I think it was called. And Norman and Bud took that format and grafted it on Red Fox.
But what were the legal issues you were dealing with?
Well, we were creating it all. Forget about legal issues. It's like, how do you credit the people who created a show when it gets spun off into a new show? It exists now within the context of the union, but it didn't exist then. I mean, we were literally making it up. What happens when you take pieces of a show and create a new episode, compilation episodes? That was something. How do you compensate the writers? How do you compensate the actors? Those were all questions of first impression.
Right, so it's authorship issues.
Authorship issues, rights issues. Norman did some of the first holding deals, meaning putting talent into deals without a specific assignment. There was nothing in the union agreement that really addressed that. So you were not only negotiating with talent, but you were also negotiating with the union to try to figure out. Now, those negotiations were a little bit above my pay grade, but I was still party to them and privy to what was being said and hearing and seeing them discussed in the context of it. So it wasn't as if we had these kind of big issues. We had whole areas of the law that we had to invent.